During World War II, one Allied nation went to quite extraordinary lengths to create an effective ground attack aircraft capable of doing extreme damage to enemy infantry concentrations and vehicles. That nation was the Soviet Union. In 1944, as the Red Army advanced victoriously westward, two weapons designers came up with a very novel new weapons package, the Fire Hedgehog. Taking the already well-proven Tupolev Tu-2 light bomber as the platform, they decided to reuse the aircraft's bomb bay to mount a new weapons system that they had invented. The Tu-2 had entered Soviet service in 1941 and was the Soviet equivalent, for example, to the US B-26 Marauder. Tough and reliable, the Tu-2 was armoured on its underside and the crew members' seats, and it stood up well to low-level attack missions on German positions. Many of the squadrons flying the Tu-2 were all-female affairs, and it was already well armed, mounting 2 forward-firing 20mm cannons, plus 3 rear-firing 7.62mm machine guns. Weapons designers Nadashkevich and Savelyev believed that they could vastly improve the Tu-2's lethality against ground targets, and the weapon they chose, somewhat surprisingly, was the famous PPSH-41 submachine gun. The Lpaska, as it is affectionately known to Russians, was a curious choice for an aviation weapon, being a short-range infantry submachine gun chambered in 7.62 by 25mm, and has a very high rate of fire at 900 rounds per minute. For the purposes of the tests, the PPSH-41s would fire the P-41 ammunition, a steel-cored 74-grain incendiary round that could penetrate German armour up to the mid-level and set fire to the interior of various vehicles and positions. Nadashkevich and Savelyev created a special rack that mounted 48 PPSH-41s pointing downwards, later increased to 88 weapons, each loaded with a 50-round drum magazine. The Hedgehog, as this curious innovation was christened, was mounted in the Tu-2's bomb bay. Aiming was made from the cockpit using a special sight, and the Hedgehog fired using a button that activated all weapons simultaneously. Mounting 88 PPSH-41s, the specially modified bomber could deliver 6,248 incendiary rounds over an area 1,800 feet long by just 4 feet wide in only 4 seconds. It was lethal to all ground personnel and many types of vehicles and fortifications. However, the Hedgehog was not adopted by the Red Air Force. Loading all 88 submachine guns and replacing them in the rack was incredibly laborious for ground crews. Many of the weapons jammed in action, and due to the Lpaska's short range, the Tu-2 would have had to have attacked at under 800 feet, making it very vulnerable to German flak and general ground fire. Though the Fire Hedgehog was never adopted, the Tu-2 and the PPSH-41 both continued in service long after World War II. The last Tu-2s left service in Soviet-friendly Third World nations in 1982, while the PPSH-41 soldiers on in conflicts all over the world today, most recently in Ukraine. Many thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon. Details in the description box below.